Pepperonis taking on Mousesports.
Yeah, and this should be a really interesting game to find out essentially how Rest and Pepperonis are settling in. Mousesports, by the way, for those of you who don't know, basically the roster of MYM, who used to be in the EU LCS, different jungler, different top lane now. But they're a known quantity. Rest and Pepperonis, there's so many factors where we don't know how they will have adapted to their roster changes. Alex Ish moving to top lane, all these kinds of things. And it's going to be really, really interesting to find out how that's gone.
So we're taking a look here. The bans already coming back out pretty quickly. Rest and Pepperoni going to ban away Jax, Irelia, and Rise. So just hard targeting Kubon as they ban out 3 top laners. And Mousesports in response ban out Kale, Lulu, and we're waiting for their final ban now.
A little bit surprising, actually, that it's Rest and Pepperonis here that are the ones banning out Rise. You would have thought that would be Alex Ish's go-to if he was going to be playing in top lane, since obviously he was one of the few mid laners that still played Rise in that lane. So interesting decision there, but I'm obviously casting from the stream at right this instant. So what is the final one that you've got there?
Yeah, Twisted Fate's actually going to be the final ban. So they take a champion away from Nukeduck. And Nukeduck's going to be okay with that because that's going to leave open the Kassadin first pick for him, Alex Itch locking that in right away.
People are really starting to appreciate how strong Kassadin is. Last patch, he got an enormous buff to his everything, actually. His Q especially, though, means that now magic damage laners basically can't harass him if he maxes Q, because every time they do, he trades back with Q, instantly gets magic damage shield for like 200, 300 damage, and they just don't do anything. So that means obviously Kassadin is then allowed to farm. Kassadin is still a very, very strong late game simply because he can come out of nowhere, set up picks. And you actually also see sometimes when he gets counterpicked by Talon, by Zed, all these physical damage dealers, you actually see this build quite regularly now where he actually goes very, very tanky. He goes like Iceborne Gauntlet and sometimes even foregoes the tier, makes him really, really, really difficult to deal with. Just becomes a bruiser essentially, but with a hyper high amount of mobility.
Exactly, and that mobility plus the constant spamming of AoE slows is kind of what makes Kassadin when it comes down to it in this build. So the next pickups here for the side of Mousesports we see are going to be Lee Sin for the top lane along with a Kha'Zix jungle. Although those are 2 flex picks, they could find something else to do with those. And back for the side of Rest and Pepperonis, they lock in Lucian for their AD carry and they grab up the jungle Nocturne.
So interesting that they've gone for the Kha'Zix and the Lee Sin so early on here. Both of them are primarily junglers, but they could be run mid lane, could be run top lane. The thing is here, though, as far as I'm aware, Take Fun does not play Kha'Zix. He does not play Lee Sin, which means that it's very much likely to be a Kha'Zix or Lee Sin top. But those are both champions that tend to have weak lanes against most possible opponents. You generally want to run them into a Jax, actually, Kha'Zix can work quite well against, and Lee Sin works very, very well against, for instance, Trundle. So a little bit odd that they've done that without any idea what they're going to be going up against in that top lane, unless they know something I don't. Obviously, though, of course, top lanes at the moment, given the focused bans, are a little bit hard to come by, so they may be able to cope a little bit better than you would expect.
And just a quick note for people watching the stream, in case there's any confusion, TSM Mithy is Nukeduck. And XX Korean Support 69XX is Mithy. That's just NIP roster went a little crazy with their name changes within the last few weeks. So don't let that fool you, and I'll try not to let it fool me either. Although I can totally see myself saying Mithy at some point when I'm, reading the name.
It's very, very easy to do. Even more confusingly, in solo queue, there's someone who's called himself TSM Nuke Duke, I think. So obviously there's a lot of fun being had, I think, with just messing around with what people expect from your names. But seeing the Soraka lock in there implies probably a Soraka top lane or a Kassadin top lane, which is something I haven't seen, but it could definitely work, actually, now that I think of it.
Sure,
The
and
only
if
thing
there's...
is,
I was going to say, and if there's a player to pull it off, Alex Itch is probably that guy. But the Shyvana means that it's most likely going to be Soraka support.
yeah, that is also a very large possibility there. So Orianna being the final champion picked up there by Mouse gives them pretty strong team fight here. They've got themselves some decent AoE. They've got the Greys, obviously, but they've also got a lot of mobility here. They've got catch potential with Morgana. It's just a generally solid all-around, but no huge focus here from Mouse. So they are going to have to contend with, if they're trying to use their mobility, the superior catching potential from Nocturne and Kassadin. And in the long term, they're also going to have problems in team fighting, since it's difficult to contend with Shyvana and Nocturne and Kassadin all diving your backline at once.
And even if those guys do start falling down, they have the Wish to help out. They have the Soraka armor buff as well. This is a very mobile, very scary lineup here from the side of Rest and Pepperonis versus, as you mentioned, a pretty much pure team fighting, maybe split push team fighting comp out of Mousesports.
So, at this point, lane matchups, obviously fairly close up in the bottom lane. We see a lot of Graves these days, just pretty much picked as a go even with Lucian kind of a pick. They're both lane bullies. They both scale pretty well into the mid game and fall off a little bit in the late game, but nothing too huge between those two pickups. And Soraka versus Morgana in the bottom lane, that's an interesting one because neither really can actually push out the other. Both just enable a little bit of... Soraka obviously enables a little bit more pushing if she chooses to level that Starcall at all. But we will see if they get anything done. Obviously, Black Shield tends to make all-ins very, very difficult. They may be able to poke them out in the long run, Rest in Pepperonis, but it's going to be a slow-paced matchup in bot.
Yeah, we'll see how this ends up working out. I'm not sure. I'm going to say this out loud, and the production staff let me know. I'm not sure if we're taking commercial breaks before we head in. I believe we are. So with that said, let's go ahead and hop into our first one here. We're going to take a quick break, guys. When we come back, it's going to be our first best of 3 of this invitational. It's going to pit Rest and Pepperoni up against Mousesports.
Carrying coffins.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, hopping into our first game of the series here. In the blue, we have Rest and Pepperonis. In the red, we have Mousesports. I'm Malphus. I'm being joined here by Spuddington.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. So, at the moment, my client is actually giving me 1 FPS, which is making it a little bit hard to see what's going on. But it looks like at the moment, Rest and Pepperonis are looking towards that invade. We do see Kassadin covering the mid lane right now. So he's got that vision there. And it is actually going to be a mid lane. Kassadin is going to be the top lane Shyvana. So we are going to be seeing a potential invade in just a second.
Look at this one, Go stepping forward here. He's going to get spotted out by Kanzi-san, so they'll know exactly what's going on. And we'll see what Mousesports' response is to the aggression coming out here from Rest and Pepperonis.
Yeah, they are just going to put in that ward there, get that vision. They can just retreat now if they want to, but they lack the level 1 CC here. I don't really see Rest and Pepperonis here getting any kills, but you can see Soraka's gone for the full ward start. No gold item, no ruby crystal to rush a sightstone, so they just got a lot of vision there, and they are going to walk out again. I'm actually a little curious how long that pink ward is going to last, for one thing. I'm also a little curious if they are planning... Does look like they're going to go for the 2-on-2 in the bot lane, so no funky swap-ups, no 4 versus 0 pushes today.
And that's actually, I like that pink ward a lot, because it's not a brush that gets checked very often, and it will give you some pretty crucial vision of the jungler as he goes to or leaves his red buff. So I like the placement here coming out from Rest and Pepperonis.
Yeah, Kubon looks like he wants to try something a little bit cute here. I really wouldn't bet on this coming to much. Obviously, there's 2 men here, but you've always got to consider the Q damage from Lee Sin is scary when it comes to securing objectives, but he was just threatening, making things a little bit more difficult, but we'll return to top lane.
It's always just more fun to stand around and let people know that you're there. But
sending a message.
No harass. Exactly, yeah. It's all about that message. But just, there's nothing really for him to do anyways. Just waiting for creeps to get up there, so why not do nothing in the enemy jungle instead of in the lane?
Yeah, why not indeed? He won't be able to get quite as much of a pushing advantage, maybe. I guess because you could meet the minion line as it was coming in, but it's minor differences versus the potential to get like a huge windfall blue steel. So yeah, I can definitely understand that, and that worked out just fine, basically.
Really loving the Soraka play here from Mithy, stepping forward here, constantly spamming Star Call, which is both pushing the wave, giving them the level 2 advantage, and applying lots of harass onto the bottom lane of Mousesports. And just like that, Freeze and Mithy have taken over control.
Yeah, they have. They've gotten pretty much forced Graves out of the lane, and that is all down to Star Call damage, which is really, really crazy. But actually, much more importantly, I think at the moment, Konzizan, he may be about to suffer very much.
Yeah, we're seeing them come into the jungle. Code just trying to chase him back out. Smite goes down. Kanzizan secures his own red buff.
Yeah, that was honestly a little bit dodgy there by Ku. Surprised that knowing that he was going for this invade, surprised he went for the spell shield here. Yes, it makes him a stronger duelist, but he wanted to be able to chase there. So arguably, the fear tether would have been much more useful in that situation. As it happens, though, of course, that's just the way it goes sometimes. Nice smite there by Konzizan.
So Mackler has actually snuck a trip back to the base in here while I keep looking at these teams' tags and realizing that that's not it at all. Rest and Pepperoni back up. So he's going to get a quick heal and come back out. He's losing out in CS. He's about 8 CS behind, but realistically he was getting zoned pretty hard anyway, so he didn't lose too much for that back.
Yeah, he didn't lose too much, but I don't really see the situation improving for them. That's the thing right now. Because he's now a little bit behind on experience, there's almost no potential to all in, even if they land a binding. Actually, mid lane.
Oh, Nukeduck thought he had the opportunity to go in there. Take Fun flashes forward, forces the flash back out of Nukeduck. And, I mean, Nukeduck started that trade off really, really well, and it was just the extended nature of it, plus creep damage, plus the passive from Orianna, that kind of ended up turning it back around even.
But remember, in this situation, because Nukeduck started with so much more sustained flask and 3 pots, he's going to be able to practically stay in lane here. He's even got the mana sustain from his W, so I wouldn't be surprised if he opts not to go back at all. Obviously, he can if he wants to, but that might cause him to lose some farm if Ori shoves in the lane when she gets back. As it is, though, looks like he is planning to go back. He's not chugging those 2 pots.
Yeah, he just wants to stick around, get the last little bit of shove, and see if he can pick up an experience advantage over Take Fun, which, if he shoves fast enough, he should be able to do so.
I'd like to note that pink ward is still there and still giving vision, and Konzizan actually just checked it, so lasted a good long time, and it's given them vision on him more than once, so definitely a worthwhile investment there. I'm a little bit surprised the Mouse didn't check for that ward, though, given they knew the angle of the invade, and given that they knew Soraka had started with a full ward start, and they saw her pink ward disappear, in theory, if they looked. They could have known that it would be somewhere in that area, but obviously don't want to waste too much time checking.
The other thing to watch out for here is Libic lands yet another binding and just gets crushed down by Freeze. I love the way Rest and Pepperoni are managing these trades. Freeze is going in, and then as soon as Mackler tries to open up, Mithy lands the heal and gets the big armor buff going down, in addition to, obviously the actual heal. So Freeze is constantly even tankier than Mackler, which you don't expect in the Lucian versus Graves matchup.
No, and it looks like Mouse have decided they can't allow this 2-on-2 to continue. The one problem with Soraka, of course, no hard CC.
And here comes the gank from Kanzizan, getting back in, Summoner Heal burn, there's the exhaust as well. Flash gets burned out by Freeze, so very nice trip to the bottom lane from Kanzizan.
Yeah, no kills though, so they will... The RIP lane, actually...
Ko making the trip into the mid lane, Nukeduck gets locked up by the shockwave, but it's not going to be enough. First blood goes to Nukeduck.
That is a very bad sign for the future of Mouse there. Kassadin still scales pretty scarily, and he's actually level 6 right now, with the lane pushed up. Clear this wave, and he's free to roam wherever he wants, possibly with Ko, who should be able to hit 6 before too long as well, and that is a scary double gank potential.
And that's a big part of what this bottom lane applying so much pressure has been able to do. That plus Ko going in for the early invasion on the jungle means that Kanzizan has not been able to just freely pick a lane and show up as he might like with the Kha'Zix. He's had to kind of plug the holes for his team across the map, and the Kassadin being completely unharassed through the early levels like that is, going to be a source of concern.
Yeah, and further bad signs here for Mouse, of course. We haven't really focused too much on it, but the top lane's going pretty much as well as you could have hoped for in the matchup, given how strong Lee Sin is early on. Alexish has done pretty solid job in staying only 6 CS behind at this point, and Shyvana will outscale Lee Sin. There is no two ways about that, so he's got time pressure now. Kuban has to try and either roam to make plays with his teleport right now, or look to get a kill, possibly with jungle support himself, or he's just going to get to a point where Alexish will just destroy him in a one-on-one, and there's really not a lot he can do from that point onwards.
Yes, and so much of this is going to come down to their contribution in teamfights as well, where Shyvana's contributions to teamfights are generally a little bit more visible, unless the Lee Sin player is able to get a beautiful initiation down, which the higher damaged Lee Sin that's typically not his main objective. He typically tries to go for more assassin style. But they are just trading up in the top lane, dueling it out, and Alexish gets the worst of that one.
Yeah, he fell a little bit behind there, but this will give him an opportunity to move out, because while all that was going on, he did push out. Doesn't really get anything from his push out, but well, that will force Kuban to farm. So that lane will continue much as it has for a while now, so probably best to be focusing on this middle lane. Ku is there, but Kuban knows, and wow.
Pops the Dragon's Descent, gets kicked back out by Kuban, but down in the bottom lane, Mithy getting locked up, Soul Shackle goes down along with the Dark Binding, and that's going to be Mackler picking up a quick kill. Freeze has not gone back to base yet, so he does not have the items to trade this back out at all. And Rip and Pepperonis, their bottom lane gets a little greedy for the farm.
Yep, understandable to get greedy there, but it has cost them quite a lot. And we see Paranoia.
Take Fun flashing over the wall, trying to get away from this one. Gets caught up by the fear on the unspeakable horror. He's going to get taken down extremely low. Kanzizan comes in from the side. Ko picks up the kill onto Take Fun. Take Fun gets the return kill onto Ko. And now Nukeduck just barely able to get himself back out over the wall. No! Sonic Wave lands, Resonating Strike, and Kuban picks up the third kill of the game for Mousesports.
Nice little fight there. Basically, Take Fun stalling out the assassination attempt on him there with the shockwave. He knew he was going to die, so he made sure they stuck around, and he allowed his team to clean that up. So, obviously, would have only been an even trade without that nice little bit of skill there from Kuban. But that can also change the dynamic in its top lane now. Since Shyvana didn't really participate in that fight, it's now shopped with an extra kill, Lee Sin, and that's going to massively delay Shyvana's ability to duel him.
And the pushing power from Kuban is going to be just phenomenal as well. Not only does he have the Tiamat, but he also has, he's been putting extra points early into his Tempest Cripple, so he's just going to be able to shove on Alexish. And typically that's one of the areas where Shyvana does really well, is just being able to constantly shove in the wave. Kuban's going to have answers for that all day.
Yeah, he will. And once he's got the Ravenous Hydra, because it does the AoE lifesteal all around, it actually synergizes super, super well with the W of Lee Sin, because he gets that bonus lifesteal. It then applies all that lifesteal in the AoE, so he heals for so much fighting in creeps.
Take Fun getting ganked one more time by Ko. Ko going in for the tower dive on this one. Libic is here, will not land the Dark Binding, and that's going to be Ko picking up the kill on to Take Fun.
Yeah, and they are going to be running away now from Libic, who is Morgana, and hence way too scary to fight, but they won't be able to pin him down. So, Orianna not doing brilliantly in this mid lane right now.
Yeah, and Ko is just chain ganking right now. He's trying to keep Take Fun down as long as possible and just open up the gap between Nuke Duck and Take Fun and just allow that Kassadin to go into full roam, destroy everything mode.
It's interesting though because they haven't got Teleport Kassadin in this game, so he's not going to be quite as scary. As long as the warding is good from Mouse, they will be able to see him coming. You can actually see right now they've warded the approach via the jungle because that's about the amount of distance you need in order to react to a Kassadin gank. You've got to see him passing through that brush there near the red buff, near the back of the red buff. So nothing too much to be coming of it right now, but he's actually heading over there anyway. No, just warding. Fair enough. I understand now.
And interestingly enough, Rest and Pepperonis not taking any teleports this game. Alex Ich comes back in onto Kuban one more time. Kuban immediately punts him with the Dragon's Rage to build a little space, and that's the end of the trade. Ultimate's traded, and not a whole lot else.
Yeah, we see that happen so often in top lane these days, but you're right. That actually, about the summoner spells, it's interesting because it speaks to a strategy of wanting to dominate your lanes and snowball. That is definitely what their comp does very, very well because of their picking potential, and actually Alex Ich may need to watch himself.
Alex Ich in a lot of trouble here. Conti flashes in, gonna get the slowdown on Alex Ich. There's another beautiful Sonic Wave resonating strike combo. Kuban picks up his second.
And super nice tanking of the tower there by Contizan as well. Alex Ich tried to turn it around onto Kuban with his Ignite, but he wasn't the one tanking the tower. And meanwhile, Contizan was just kind of sat at the range, allowing his teammate that time to get out. Now potentially an all-in and bot.
Freeze uses the Relentless Pursuit forward, gonna get locked up by Libic. Summoner heal goes back down. Libic now the one in trouble. He's gonna have to run himself away from this. Wish goes down. Another Dark Binding lands onto Mithy. Mithy throws the heal on himself. Mackler flashes forward. Can he pick this kill up? No! Another beautiful heal keeping Mithy alive. The baits are strong. Flash out comes from Libic, but he's gonna follow up. Double kill Rest and Pepperoni.
Such a clutch heal there, and that is so unfortunate there for Mackler, baited in, and obviously dies, taking with him his support there. So big swing again now, and with 2 kills in your favor, Lucian, Soraka against Morgana, there's no all-in potential. They're too far ahead now for Graves to go for an all-in next time around without jungler support, and that just means you have to contend with the endless sustain of Soraka, the endless trading potential from the armor buff from her heals, and that basically just says this is now a horrible, horrible place to be.
Yeah, this is a rough one, and that's going to open up the map so much for Rest and Pepperoni. Ko doesn't have to come bottom lane unless he wants to try to set up a dragon. He can continue focusing on the mid lane, or he can look to shore up Alex Ich in the top lane. When your bot lane wins this hard, it offers so many opportunities for the rest of the team.
That's definitely true. We actually did just see Nuke Duck thinking about going for the top lane, but it was a bluff. He's actually caused Kuban to recall there without actually doing anything about it, which gives Alex Ich a little bit of time to get his farm up. So taking stock at this point, it's still relatively even between both teams. The gold overall is very, very similar, and it's basically going to come down to where are you going to try and snowball as the junglers right now. Mouse really need to get Kuban completely rolling. He's already quite a bit stronger than Alex Ich. If he can get him a little bit further, take the tower, then Lee Sin will be free to make plays across the map. And Lee Sin at this stage of the game is super strong and super capable of snowballing.
So Freeze uses the culling, sees Mackler use his dash to get back out of it, and then Freeze just kind of chases him down with a Relentless Pursuit as well. But Libic was there to tank up the last bit of that. But that's it's kind of just a casual culling to push the lane back out and apply some extra pressure and harass, because they know the Soraka heal is going to top them off. They also have the mana heal coming out as well, so they're going to be full health and mana pretty quickly here. And they're just applying more and more pressure on this bottom lane, shoving them in under the tower while at half health and making them feel unsafe pretty much the entirety of the game.
Yeah, that tower is not long for this world. The next time this wave goes in, it will drop, and there's no jungler coming in, so they are just going to abandon it. Makes a lot of sense to do that. A little bit surprised though, Ko is not in the area, so they're not going to be able to take advantage. The recall coming in from Mouse right now will actually enable them to be in position to contest the dragon, should Rest of Pepperonis try for it.
Ko going in on the top lane, going to use the ultimate onto Kuban. He's going to pick up that kill and just continue. And this is what we were talking about. Bottom lane's in control. They take bottom tower, and at the same time, Ko just goes to the top lane and shores up arguably the one lane that's kind of been in trouble the entirety of the game. Alex is just top lane.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Take Fun, though, may have baited in him.
Oh, we see Nukeduck gonna have to flash away from the shockwave. The risk of getting soul shackled and the dart bound up way too high.
And look at those trades as well. Nukeduck is so difficult to deal with for Orianna. It's weird because normally Orianna is the one where she shields all your damage.
Ignite goes up. There's Libic still in the area. Soul shackle going down, gonna get the stun. There's the dark binding, and one command attack from Take Fun, gonna pick up the kill.
A little bit too keen to keep making those incredibly good, but unfortunately very all-in trades there. So he gets caught out, gets exhausted as well, so he couldn't even finish off the one-for-one kill. Now, will Mouse be able to get that into a dragon? I don't really see it right now. Teleport is coming up on Lee Sin soon, so they might be able to force it, but they just don't seem to want to. And they are actually sending their bot lane back to bot, which I'm not sure is the best plan in the long run here, but Soraka is recalling, so they will be able to at least push this out.
I honestly thought Freeze was going to get that ward. He was super, super close. Auto-attacked it, cast the Ardent Blaze to proc his passive, and then went for the double auto-attack, but it faded just before he could send the command. That was a little sad. But, you know, Ko, another thing we haven't talked about yet is that Ko is going for the Feral Flare as opposed to the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, and he's pretty close on that one as well. Alex is just opening up on Kuban one more time, and Kuban's going to be more than happy to take this trade, kicking Alex Itch back out, trading the damage well over what Alex Itch has been able to deal to him.
Yeah, a little bit strange to choose to fight at that exact time, especially considering it's not like you can try and do a fake all-in for harass and then back out, because Lee Sin heals way too fast with the Hydra, and now Contizan is coming, but Nukeduck is going to be in the area to try and help out if they go for that dive.
So down in the bottom lane, Freeze with the completed Bloodthirster. Mackler has been able to complete his Bloodthirster as well. So the item score, a little closer to even between the two AD carries, might be the little dip in power that Mousesports need to kind of get some control back down in this bottom lane.
Yeah, and of course right now Lucian's sitting on a lot of gold again, which is always the temptation when you're in a Soraka lane. You just want to sit there and farm forever, but you've got to be careful. You always have to balance your ability to stay in the lane with the enemy's ability to all-in you and basically completely nullify your sustain. If you fall too far behind on items because you haven't shopped, you are going to have a lot of problems in an all-in scenario. We actually did see that exact thing earlier where Freeze was still sitting on a Doran's Blade at like 7 minutes into the game.
Exactly, and Mackler came back with the BF sword and was like, okay, I'm going to go kill your support now. Peace.
No worries, easy. So, in this situation though, they're still more or less okay because they're actually ahead on gold overall, and because Graves himself hasn't shopped in a while. It's just Bloodthirster versus Bloodthirster here, and there's even actually an extra Doran's Blade on Freeze, so he's going to be happy to farm for now. But when he goes back, he's going to have enough money for more or less anything he could plausibly want. He's getting towards the point of just straight buying a Last Whisper, actually, at this point.
Alright, so the first tower of the game for Mousesports is going to fall, as the pressure from Kuban has just been too much in the top lane. Alex Itch going to be the one to give up the ghost on that first tower.
And remember, now he's going to be much, much freer to roam around the map. He's also got the teleport. At this stage of the game, Kuban is so strong. He's built himself a Giant's Belt, so he's reasonably tanky. And that is just going to make him a hell of a thing to deal with in small skirmish fights. They get into a 5-on-5, not going to be nearly as good because he will be still reasonably squishy. But if he can catch someone out of position, even Kassadin, he can potentially chase that down. Since at this stage, Kassadin's Riftwalk isn't getting to that super, super low late game cooldown. I think it gets down to like 2.5 seconds in the super late game.
And another part of that is a lot of Kassadins, as they've been going for the kind of tankier bruiser style build, they've been leaving out the Tear of the Goddess and using that gold instead for something like an early Glacial Shroud or something like that. But Nukeduck has gone for the Tear of the Goddess, so he's building more cheap ability power in this one, which hasn't converted yet, but he'll have a bigger power spike within, you know, the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's also been fun to watch how everyone started prioritizing W.
Ko goes back in on the mid lane, pops the ultimate, and is immediately chased out by Konzizan. They won't get that pick on the Orianna that they wanted to secure dragon control for themselves.
Yeah, that was a weird paranoia, honestly. They just did. It wasn't like that was even really a very safe pick, even if Oriana was alone. They could have gotten it, but it wasn't. They didn't know where their opponents were. And you can see Ku, as soon as he saw that he'd just gone into a terrible situation, he was just like, nah, I regret my decision immensely, but that's going to cost him a very powerful cooldown and a very long cooldown. And that's why Mouse are trying this. You want to be careful, though.
There's the ultimate coming back in from Alexis, trying to start this one up. There's the calling going down on Kanzi's, and he flashes over the wall. The Ignite's ticking down. Will it be enough? Last tick does get it done. Alexis showing why he likes Ignite over Teleport. Macklin now on the run. Ko gonna flash forward here. Gonna get the slow down on that. There he goes. Picks up that kill very quickly. Libic now on his own. He's gonna get feared up. Unspeakable horror equals an unspeakable double kill for Ko. That Pharaoh Flare getting huge, and Kuban in response just teleports to the top lane to at least answer the dragon with the tower.
Yeah, that's a really, really smart decision by Coupon. He knew that fight had just gone absolutely south. There was nothing he could do to help it, so he will make it an objective trade. They lose out on the kills, but map control-wise, this is actually quite good for Mouse. And I think even in gold, that will give them slightly more than the dragon. Obviously, the kills will not be accounted for in that trade, but it was definitely the best of a bad situation.
So with that 2,000 gold advantage over here for Pepperoni, nuked up. Tony just get his farm. He's still 20 CS down on the Oriana, but realistically, with a matchup like Kassadin versus Oriana, that's more than fine. He's going to be totally pleased by his performance in lane this game.
Yeah, he will. That damage is now starting to get pretty scary. Finished his Rod of Ages, finished his Archangels, which is about 200 stacks off of being a Seraphs, but now Ko gonna have to watch himself.
Go in a little bit of
Or
trouble.
not, apparently. I'm not interested in that one.
Yeah, the priority just going to be taking down the tower and trying to secure as many objectives as possible. And now Kanzizan finds himself in the 2v1 with Alexich. Alexich is going to get punted away. Kuban says, you know what? My jungler doesn't want anything to do with this.
And Alexich going to be doing a smart thing going to the top lane, but for all that, Makla's pushed down the bottom tower. So Mao's pulling themselves definitely back in. And this, I've got to say, before this game, I was a little bit concerned about Mao's because in the Epic Gear Cup recently, they had a little bit of an incident where they may have been beaten out by a Diamond 2 team, called eStarfire, something like that. Today they're looking much, much better, and I think they may have been hoisted by their own hubris in that game there. So definitely playing very much on par with Rest and Pepperonis at the moment.
Okay, let's take a look here. There's a scary thing going on here where Ko has picked up 5 of his team's kills and has completed the Pharaoh Flare plus the Blade of the Rune King and is starting to work on his Random Omen now. Even with the tankier AD carry in Graves, he's going to have a huge issue dealing with the Nocturne Shyvana diving him, whether the Kassadin is there or not. And if the Kassadin is there, then it's going to be a nearly impossible situation.
Yeah, they've just got so much damage in that. That's one of the things Shyvana does so well in the late game as a backline diver, is she just spews out damage everywhere, and most of it's AoE. If someone's sitting too close, if you can get onto 2 people at once, they can just insta-gib Makla and take front at the same time. And the other thing, of course, is that because they're so mobile, so difficult to lock down, and they will get so tanky, especially Ku, who will be getting more and more tanky as time goes by, it's going to be very hard to get the reset chain that they're looking for with Kanzizan and the Kha'Zix. It's just going to be a difficult time all around.
Libic getting caught out down in the bottom lane. See Ko actually going to pop the ultimate onto that one. Dark Binding going to be just about enough to get Libic out of this one. He will be able to make it to safety.
Can they take advantage of this? Rest and Pepperonis want this mid tower right now, but Ko's actually sticking around in the bottom lane. Clears the wave. And Kuban's actually going to be saying hi to Nuke Duck, not Mithy. Damn it, that name.
That's going to be trolling us all day long. We'll donate some cash for another name change.
Yeah, I will pay you to change your name, Nuke Duck. That is terrible for me.
So
that'd be a great feature.
Ko came down to the bottom lane. He just wanted to get ward control of the enemy blue buff. He was putting a pink into the brush just when he spotted out the support. Here's the initiation going in. Alex, such a nice Dragon's Descent onto 3. The Ignite going back down. Will it be enough? Summoner heal plus the flash getting burned. Tried. A beautiful out here from Kuban as he shows up, but he gets taken out. Shockwave puts 2 back in, 3 back in. Nuke Duck gonna be the first one to pick up a kill. Now Constantine trying to dive back in with the resets. He's gonna go back over. Silence up. No, there's Reed's flashing over the wall. He's gonna pick that up. Nuke Duck now blinking over the wall to get away. And after a tumultuous, it ends up going 2 for none in favor of Rest and Pepperoni. Living caught out. Another kill goes down for Freeze. Rip and Pepperoni, Rest and Pepperoni taking all the advantages in this one.
Their team fighting was just so good there, even though they got frankly decimated by the Dragon's Rage that got pulled in behind them. Not so many of them up at the same time. They were still able to turn that around. They abused their mobility so well in that fight, and especially Nuke Duck there, just destroying everyone with his damage and just his ability to slow people when they really, really don't want to be slowed. When they're trying to get out, he's always there, locking them down for the rest of his team to finish up. So 12 for 5 now. Big, big advantages for Rest and Pepperonis.
They are able to take down that bottom inhibitor turret. So the first open inhibitor of the game now set up. And, I mean, just all the advantages, all the control going over to them. It's, oh, Mackler. There's a smoke bomb in. Base checks the brush, flashes over the wall, able to blink back out. First tick of the calling, going to pick that kill up for Freeze. Now Libic finds himself in trouble. He's going to flash over the wall, but out. Waiting, no follow. This is not going to be good to stop anything. 6th kill of the game going over for this Jungle Nocturne.
I hate to say this, by the way, Malphas at this point, because it seems like your microphone may be like ducking the volume whenever you go too loud. So I'm not sure if that's a setting problem on Skype or whatever. But
all right, I'll swap it up here.
But, I couldn't understand a word you just said. So, production issues, guys. That just is how it works sometimes. It's been a while since we've been casting like this, so hopefully we can get that problem fixed relatively soon. But, at the moment, though, of course, we do see Nuke Duck in this mid lane, hanging around, take fun, be just farming this out. Nothing really easy to force right now. And Rest and Pepperonis are just looking to back, pick up items, get ready for their next push. We see full Feral Flare, Blade of the Ruin King, and a GA, not a Randuin's, on Ko. So he is looking for being a suicide diver right now. Nuke Duck going to have to run for his life here. Malphas, are you back? Oh dear, it does appear that Malphas is not back. So I'm definitely not really sure what's going on with that front. But hopefully for now... Oh dear, it actually looks like Malphas has entirely dropped out of the Skype call. So hopefully he will rejoin us. In the meantime, you're going to have to experience the lovely Color main doing play-by-play. If a team fight breaks out, which is looking like it very much will, Mouse actually were able to get the disengage though. But can Nuke Duck chase this down? He's looking for his opportunity, but the alternative, of course, is cut them off, then push the mid lane. You can see Freeze pushing in that mid lane, and at the same time, this is a two-pronged assault. Ko in the top lane, shoving that out. It's like they're trying to hold Mouse off from defending one of their towers, and it doesn't matter to them, Rest in Pepperonis, which they hold them off. The minion waves, however, have been a little bit slow for them, so they won't be able to get anything straight off the bat. So, still, hopefully right now, they'll be able to hang on. They are in a situation where they are getting some control over the enemy jungle. Rest in Pepperonis clearing out this pink ward. Good eye there by Nuke Duck. Actually, he could not see Libic, but he still dodged that their Dark Binding, but he's done a remarkably good job in so doing. And now we see the two-man Nocturne Soraka duo Baron. But of course that pulls people towards, even if they get stopped halfway, it pulls people towards them. And Alex Ish applying pressure in the bot lane. He's recalling now. He may actually end up in a fight with Kubon here. Not sure who's stronger, but it's definitely looking like Kubon so far. He's too tanky to actually kill, of course. And Alex Ish is forced off. And that obviously does mean he'll be a little bit slower if they want to rotate him towards that Baron area. The forbidden word. Should probably use map movements instead. But right now, of course, though, Rest and Pepperonis are still happy with their situation. And they actually have the Paranoia on the top lane. Take fun, shockwaves, nothing in particular. Which is obviously... okay. I think maybe he forgot to shield himself first. It's happened to all of us at one point, but there are better times to have it happen. And with that death, that takes a huge amount of the team fighting power out of Mouse. Now this Baron, they can turn and burn, of course, remember. They don't have to do this, but they may well just choose to do it because Mouse they do not have the damage. They've no shockwave, they've not much AoE on their team. Without that AoE, it's going to be super hard to get anyone low enough for Kha'Zix's reset chain. And Lee Sin functions very similar to Kha'Zix as well. He works much better when they can assassinate people, and they need people to already be low to assassinate them. Now, Nuke Duck does get booted over the wall into the Baron. Konzizan gets the steal! Oh my god, he is a god. He just got that, but I still don't know if that's actually going to change anything. But Mouse, in the meantime, we're pushing the mid lane, so that is an incredible turn of events there. I'm stunned they were able to get that, and I see Malphus X has maybe just reconnected to the Skype call. Come on, tell me you're here.
Hello, hello. All right, I'm back. I've swapped out the mic. This is probably going to sound like I'm in the bottom of a well, but at least it should be pretty much the same volume all the time. How are we doing?
All right, well, we just got a super clutch Baron steal by Konzizan. It looked like they were about to really start suffering, but right now, Take Fun.
Take Fun flashes himself over the wall. And so, suffering was apparent, but avoided.
Avoided. Very, very, very close, because Orianna got picked off in the top lane. Code just jumped on him one-on-one, took him out.
Oh, this is just not fun for Take Fun. He's going to try to get himself back out of this. The Zanya's Hourglass going to be used to avoid the shockwave there. Now Mackler trying to chase him back down. Nuke Duck blinks over the wall, avoids the Dark Binding, turns back around onto Mackler. Going to pop the Seraph Shield on himself. Libic not going to be able to land the Soul Shackle on that one as Mithy flashes himself away. And just, excuse me, not Mithy, Nuke Duck flashes himself away. But, you know, the woes continuing here for Take Fun's Orianna.
Yeah, he is very, very often picked off right now. He lacks the hard escape. He doesn't have a dash, doesn't have anything like that. And there's so much damage coming out. They need to group up and force, basically, right now. Mouse have the Baron. They have the advantage in a fight. But if they are allowed to use their mobility, Rest and Pepperonis will just destroy them one by one.
Ko jump back in on Libic, has Alex Itch coming in from the side. The culling not going to land any damage till the very end of this one. Mackler finds himself all alone, flashes over the wall, caught by the Ardent Blaze, which will reveal, and Ko will be able to land the Dustbringer, picks that kill up. Ultimate comes back out from Kuban to try to get the disengage. But even despite the Baron steal, Rip and Pepperoni, Rest and Pepperoni still on the advantage. Still on the aggressive even.
Yeah, it's just super confident play by them, and it's working out. Ko, you just walk past the pink ward, mate, but doesn't matter.
Alex Itch comes in from the flank. Can they catch back up onto this one? Libic trying to run himself away. He's going to fall down. Breeze picks that kill up. It's a beautiful heal, and just like that, Rest and Pepperoni runs straight through the tower to take the fight.
Yeah, the amount of healing that comes out of Mikhail's on a Bruiser with a Soraka W and R potentially as well, it's just colossal amounts of health regain. And now you've got to say Mouse are in a really awkward situation. They've lost a team fight there. Now, of course, it is going to be difficult for Rest and Pepperonis to create picks since there's no Baron up to force. They'll be able to take the Dragon very easily, and I think Mouse will let that go. And then they're kind of now in their own base, so they're just going to have to split push, but no teleports at this stage. So it could be a little bit difficult. They could try and use the Paranoia and like push the bot lane, the mid lane, or the bot lane actually, with Nocturne, and then push the other lane with the team in general, but it's not an ideal split pushing situation, and if Mouse can hold out, they may be able to get some team fights later on.
Yeah, and of course the teleport will provide more split push pressure for the side of Mousesports, so that, who knows, that could be what they're waiting on. They might be just trying to buy time for Konzizan to become that really tanky Kha'Zix while still dealing good amounts of damage. You know, Take Fun's late game is going to be really terrifying, but realistically when it comes down to it, I mean, does Graves really outdamage Lucian in the very late game?
Arguably, because he does at least have an attack speed steroid built into his kit. You can see the quick draw is giving him 70% attack speed, but he's such a risky AD carry in the late game. Yes, he's a little bit tankier, but the resistances you get from Graves' passive at this stage of the game are frankly inconsequential compared to the amount of damage their opponents have. Interesting, though, that Rest and Pepperonis let that dragon go. I mean, honestly, there was no reason for that. They know they're stronger. They know that they've got the ability to create picks, but it was just sloppy play by them. They would be too upset with it because they're still ahead. They know they're strong and all the rest of it, but I'd still say if it gets to the super ultra late game, Mouse have a very comparable team fight, but it's going to be a very hard road to get there. The inhib push is coming in, and anyone getting caught out and bursted down is just not long for the world.
You have to say that Ko has been one of their biggest obstacles this game. He's 8-1-7 now. He's picked up the Guardian Angel, and with that, he's just going to go diving straight in with Alex Itch. They nuke down Take Fun. He's going to fall.
Now Alex Hitch has to run back away from this one. Nuke Duck gets into the middle of the fight, pops Lasagna's Hourglass. Kuban with the disengage from the Dragon's Rage. It's not going to be enough. Libit goes down. Freeze picks Acura up. Now Kanzi-san has to flash himself away from Ko. Nuke Duck and Ko still chasing in. Mithy on the front lines as well with his Soraka. He's going to be focused down. He's going to fall to the collateral damage coming off the fountain from Mackler. And just like that, Rest and Pepperoni going to have to turn this charge around. But man, did they defend themselves with that one. Down goes the bottom inhibitor. Ko going to have his Guardian Angel proc. It looks like he's going to be left to go down. No, Freeze going to show up as well. Now Ko using the Dustbringer just to try to get himself away from this one. Mackler pops the stomach heal. Can he take this 2v2? They're going to have to run themselves away from this one. Alex Hitch tags in for Ko while Ko goes to work on the tower. Drops that one extremely quickly. And now there's a flash coming out from Freeze. Try to pick up there on the Mackler. Won't be able to get that done and we'll go down for it. Big shutdown goal going over to Kuban. But it might be too little too late. Mithy turns around, puts a slow onto Kuban, and they will be chased out of the base, having only lost one Nexus tower.
One Nexus Tower, one inhib, and the massive amount of kills in the team fight. It's now 21 for 7. The goal lead still isn't enormous, but Mouse just do not seem to be able to fight it. And part of that, I feel, is down to the fact Take Fun does not yet have a Zhonya's Hourglass. He is suffering tremendously for it, but he also lacks a Void Staff, so he's not really doing that much damage at this point. It's because he hasn't got enough gold, which is because he's dying, which is because he doesn't have a Zhonya's, which is really, really a horrible catch-22 to find yourself in. And right now, it does look like they're going to have some difficulties getting out, having just pushed.
Alex Hitch not interested in letting Take Fun out of this one. He's going to miss his flash over the wall. He's going to go down to the command. Shockwave going to buy him a little bit of time. There's the random Azuma with a slow. Command Protect keeps him alive even longer, but now it's going to be Take Fun going down. Kuban's going to be the next target. He's going to fall as well. Alex Hitch goes on a killing spree as he picks that one up. 3-1-11 his Shyvana after some struggles in the early game, but Rest and Pepperoni looking poised to take this one down.
Yeah, that's a 50-second cooldown for Kuban in the Death Chamber. And they are going to be pushing the bottom lane right now with 3, potentially. Or maybe not. Maybe they're just going to take the blue buff, because that's important at this stage of the game, instead of going for the major objectives. At this point, of course, Rest in Pepperoni's probably feeling pretty confident, and here they go.
Going back in onto Mackler as well. The nukes come down from Nuke Duck, and he's going to be able to take the AD carry off the field. So now without either carry or the top laner, who arguably has been performing maybe better than anyone else on the team, this should be just about the end of the game. Libit going to try to keep this one alive as he steps forward, pops the Soul Shackles. Who's going to end up going down first? It is going to be Libit. He goes down to the Piercing Light, and just like that, Rest in Pepperoni's claimed game number 1.
Just such good team fighting from them. They had a composition that was going to come out a little bit worse in the early game. Miles actually had a really good pick ban strategy, stealing away the Lee Sin and the Kha'Zix because Ko is so good on those champions, but it did cost them a little bit in their late game team fights. Lee Sin really didn't have much of an impact outside of his lane. He wasn't able to roam and make too many plays, and that just meant that in the long run, coping with the Nocturne Shyvana Kassadin dive on your backline, nigh on impossible, and there was that picking potential as well. So really, really well played by both teams there, and Rest in Pepperonis, they're not done yet. They're still going to have to win at least one more game to advance.
All right, guys, so we're going to take a little commercial break. We'd like to thank Logitech for their support, their support of this tournament. Again, I've been MalphasX, being joined here by Spuddington. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it'll be game number 2 of this series between Rest and Pepperoni and Mousesports.